The idea is, okay, there's always going to be a gap in the market for an elusive deck, because elusive is just kind of silly, right? Maybe it'll be tier 1, maybe it'll be tier 2, but it's always going to be a competitive deck, right? So two really, really important Ionia players are coming down. I think Kinko as a card was already, like, almost overrated, honestly. Kinko Wayfinder, we're totally fine getting out of with this sort of play pattern. So we go back into the old Demacia ways. This is for a few reasons, partly because Keeper of the Masks is really, really good, and it works well with Relentless Pursuit. These form a really, really good combo since it's all about going off on one turn. Next up, we do have, like, you know, some of the nice Demacia cards are a little bit better here. Lucian Senna is a lot better than it was back then. And a really important thing to consider is that Elusives win by achieving effectively what we can call a critical mass of elusive damage, right? You don't need every card in your deck to be Elusives. In fact, you don't want every card in your deck to be Elusives, because you need some optionality, you need some combo pieces, and you need some trump blockers. You need to race them down. So you don't want 40 Elusives, but there's a certain breakpoint where you need enough elusive damage. And minus that breakpoint, your deck's win rate will plummet. Like, plummet. Because the whole point is it's a very, very subtle thing, but, like, when you take a deck like Elusive or Burn and reduce their damage by a little bit, you make that deck a lot worse because of that sort of, like, tipping point, right? And this is also part of the reason why Lorent Bladekeeper is important, because it might not seem apparent, but this card is effectively replacing Shadow Assassin. Seems weird, right? But it gives elusive stats which we really, really desperately need, right? In a reliable way. You could say Omen Hawks can give you elusive stats, and of course it does sometimes, but not necessarily in impactful ways. Okay. And of course, you know, I mean, Ranger's Resolve is like a pretty good card that we didn't have access to back then. So I think the stars are kind of aligning for this sort of flavor of elusive being kind of like the way to play elusive in the next update. Maybe it's three Ghost, maybe we replace Lucian Senna, maybe we run a couple of challengers, you know, if we are worried about elusive blockers. There's a lot of different things we could do. But I really like this direction of elusives in general. And I think it could easily be a tier 1 deck. So we're against the deep deck, we're attacking on odds. The question is Zed even worth keeping? We have to get through a lot of the land units. It gets bashed by stuff that's normally completely inconsequential, like Horny Toad, Hapless, Aristocrat. I think I'll kick Zed. If we were attacking on evens, I might be inclined to... Or, sorry, if we were attacking odds, I might have kept Zed. But on evens, I don't think I can here. Not in this matchup. We have to just, like... Because they have a lot of weak, small units, we have to basically avoid engaging in land combat at all and just go, like, full elusive. Now, the thing to understand about Zed, and this is really important, is that Zed is like an anti-aggro card. That's kind of his function. He's there for the aggro mirror. I'll resolve if you Vile Feast, by the way. That's what he does. He is an anti-aggro card because he threatens to, like, race the opponent down. And usually their land units are all pretty valuable things they don't want to give up. But here, it's like bricked out to Dredgers, which Dredgers isn't a threat to us. It can't race us down. It's a 1-1. Horny Toad, it gets bricked out to, and we specifically don't want to kill Toad. Killing Toad would be really, really bad, right? So Zed ends up doing kind of nothing. Bit of an issue. It's arguable that we actually need to kill Dead Bloom Wanderer. I think that if you think we need to kill Dead Bloom Wanderer, you probably don't know how disgusting this deck is. If you look at this hand, it's actually going to be incredibly easy to kill this guy from 20 health. Fuck Wanderer, I don't give a shit. Like, look at this hand and think about it for, like, just a little bit. Just a little bit. Like, we've got 20. We're way over 20. It's not even close. And here's where Lorent Bladekeeper shines as, like, an actually insane card. Buffing this to 3, bluffing this, like, +1/+1 is, like, game winning in this position. Like... It's such a big deal, it's crazy. I guess this 2/3 gets a free attack. Sure. Yeah, look at that. Get it in, dude. So we can probably kill him on turn 6. Now, a lot of you guys are asking, why is this deck not running Cithria, Genevieve, Windfare Hatchling? The answer to that is usually because... back-to-back as well. That's the 4th one. Back-to-back as well. The answer is usually because your combo involves playing a lot of cheap cards, and you pretty much can't afford to fit an expensive card in there. That being said, I'm not offering up that explanation as any sort of proof that those are wrong. That's just my reasoning. I think in particular, Windfare Hatchling could be good as like a one-off. Elusive blocker? That's cheating! Wait, how much damage are we doing this turn? Hang on. We're not killing him this turn. It's like, I'd love to dream about killing him this turn, but it's not this turn. It's next turn at the earliest. Oh man, using my resolve like this feels so bad. If we give up resolve, sometimes we just lose single combat. Single combat might be really good in this deck, by the way. It might be really, to be perfectly honest, the more I think about it, it's fucking insane that this deck doesn't run single combat. You're right, dude. You're completely right. In its current form. It might change forms to be one where single combat isn't good, but in his current form, it would have to fit. I don't know, man. Vile Feast isn't even really in his range. I think we need to just kill him next turn, actually. It's like, so something really, really important is happening here, where we've actually given him a couple of different tests. We've given him a couple of different tests. We've tested him. Think of the game like Go Fish, right? 4 turns ago, when we played Duo on 2, we said, do you have Vile Feast? And he's like, no, I don't have Vile Feast. And 2 turns ago, when we played Bladekeeper, we said, do you have Grasp? And he said, no, I don't have Grasp. And like, it's really, really important to understand that we've effectively tested him for those. But, as you guys are pointing out, we never tested Whale, and that's a little scary. And I think that's part of the reason why I need to Pursuit now. But I'm going to take a bit of a risky approach here. I'm going to try to end the game, like, next turn. In doing so, I'm accomplishing a couple of different things. He's supposed to block this 3-4. That's very strange. In doing so, I'm accomplishing a few things. Most importantly, we are not letting him get the opportunities to draw into those cards. That's kind of like the single biggest thing. We don't want to let him draw into those cards, right? Because we kind of know he didn't have them before. And if we let the eye through, he's drawing 2 cards, right? He's drawing the one off the eye and the one off his top deck. And I don't want to let that happen, right? Whale is a little scary here, though. I don't know how well I can beat hands with Whale. Yeah, we're good against this, though, right? That looks questionable. That was weird, man. Did you just do that? So now the only scare card could possibly be Vile Feast, which means, I mean, I guess we're developing a bit deeper. It's like, Highwayman's not doing too much. Make It Rain. Yeah, I'll play Highwayman first to play around the fucking one weirdo on ladder running Make It Rain in deep. So he used the Vile Feast a little too early there, I think. No, I mean maybe he's fine valuing that blocker. Yeah, I mean I think there's nothing really wrong with that. And I don't think we can have an attack here. Looks fine. So I want you guys to understand what just happened. That was his first card. Yeah, the thing about Go Fish is like some people do cheat at Go Fish. That's the problem with Go Fish. And I used to do that. When I was like 6 years old, I would beat my mom at Go Fish every time. Because she'd say, Swimmy boy, do you have any jacks? And I'd be like, no, I don't have any jacks, mom. So some people do that. And that's what he just did with Vile Feast. It's like, most people don't do that, but yeah, of course, that can happen. I mean, we're just trumping down, right? So I don't think there's any issues with any of this. Gonna ever need Senna for anything? I don't think so. Yeah, we're just chilling. Your mom calls you Swim? Yeah, except when I'm really when she's really mad at me, she calls me Swimothy. I mean, Deep doesn't really have the ability to end the game, so we have like a few more turns to draw into elusive damage here. It's also good for this too. So of course if he plays Nautilus here, he loses. I mean, we're totally fine here. It's like, we're on a draw, and we're just kind of like waiting to hit that draw, but it's just like, it just comes down to, you know, getting the right amount of damage for what we need, right? And we're just kind of like chilling until we hit that. So we've got, what, 8 damage right now? We can do 8, but it might be better to wait a little bit longer, right? Right now we have an opportunity to get it in under a couple of things, but we're deleting our out for, in particular, Keeper of Masks, which is no good. We should retain our out for Keeper of Masks, because if we hold the elusive keyword, Bladekeeper takes it to 4, Keeper takes it to 5, Relentless makes it 10, and then we can beat hands of air with like the Keeper top deck. So we're basically maximizing our odds by doing that. The only question we have to ask ourselves is like, are we potentially like losing next turn or getting in range of Atrocity next turn? We're probably behind at this point. That Grasp was a little nasty. It's like, if he didn't have Grasp there, we win, of course, but the Grasp puts us mathematically behind, but still fine. Not like ideal, but fine. He's looking for treasures. He got the Plate Worm treasure. Plate Worm treasure is kind of spooky. If he just like does Keel Breaker and then the Plate Worm treasure, I guess he doesn't have enough mana for both of them. This one's quite interesting. So are we killing him this turn? We've got the open attack that has to kill him. So if our open attack's killing him, so it's kind of a math game at this point, right? We need to see if we're able to survive this. He's got Keel Breaker, which means we do actually need to be open attacking him to kill him next turn. But our duo into the Blade Scout is not enough. If we do it here this turn for 5, then our open attack's only going to be 4 because the duo goes back to -1 health, right? So it's not really enough, and we can't really play an elusive here because the Jaw Hunters will lose it. So we have to calculate whether we're going to have the ability to like survive this attack. We're going to be taking a total of 10 damage, which puts us into Atrocity range. Atrocity range can't really be avoided in this case, I think, which is pretty unfortunate unless we're going to rely on the top deck even more. So the best thing to do is to pass now so we can represent the lethal on like the open swing next turn to hands that don't have Atrocity and don't have like second grasp. That's going to be the mathematically higher odds. The one thing you can do that's a little bit different is you can play around Atrocity and then just like assume that you're going to top deck something that makes a difference, but obviously that's lower odds. So yeah, kind of awkward hand here. We don't like being behind. I think we... Are we beating Whale? I mean, we're beating a lot of like slow and clunky hands. There's a lot of like heavy unit stuff. Maybe that's all of his spells. At this point, it's like, I mean, we have no choice. We're completely locked into this entire play. So, we are able to beat Whale, and we're on draws to beat other things too. But this game is closer than it should have been. I do want to point out, really important to note, on turn... When was it? It was around 7, when he went deep and played Hoarder. I think a lot of you, I saw some GGs in chat. A lot of you guys probably thought we were behind. We were definitely still like super fine. Like the thing about deep is they don't really end games. We just like kind of wait and, you know, save our Blade Scout and play elusives. Next couple of turns our draws might put us behind, but even so, I mean, you can see here we're still like potentially fine. Kind of depends on his hand here. Yeah, and Keeper of Masks is never worth playing. We beat Whale. But we lose to Keel Breaker, which we can see in his hands. That's unfortunate that we lose to Whale. Really sad. Because I was hoping to at least be able to beat the Whale here. So yeah, we're more behind than I'd like to be. We got a little bit unlucky there, but I do want to point out like how this deck wants to play. It's not really an aggro deck, like at all. Actually, it's literally a combo deck. Like we save Bladekeeper, like. Sorry, Blade Scout, not Bladekeeper. That Blade Scout, I held for like 3 options. I had so many opportunities to play that Blade Scout earlier. And this is how you have to play this deck. You have to hold the Blade Scout. You have to be insanely patient with your Blade Scouts. This is just part of your combo piece. We're just like doing math, doing odds, and waiting to combo with Duo, Blade Scout, and Keeper. That's the deck. And of course, stuff like Pursuit. And this is why single combat is so good here. Because it allows us to stall a little bit. We could even run like Radiant Guardian, right? If we wanted to. It's not an aggro deck. We're kind of more of a combo burn.